I mean, I've done the like 6-week challenges before.
Right.
It's just not sustainable. And like, I knew that going in. I was like, okay, I'm going to do something that will get me going, but I know it's not going to be forever and I'm not going to be perfect. What's happening? I'm Coach Jay. I'm here with
Coach Katie
and
Coach Wendy
and
Coach Rebecca.
yeah, we are back. The whole crew is back. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. But first, we actually have, well, if you're not watching this on video, you're not going to see it. But we actually have, we have a snack today that we're going to test. We're going to do a taste test. What do you got here, Katie?
This is kangaroo jerky from Australia.
It's made of real kangaroos.
Yeah, it's made of kangaroos. One of our clients brought it in, just spent the last 3 weeks in Australia.
Okay.
And so we figured we'd try it because none of us have had this before, right?
I have not had kangaroo jerky. I've
But
had
you've
kangaroo.
had kangaroo meat.
Oh, okay.
Kangaroo meat.
You have
yeah.
had kangaroo meat.
Yeah.
Should we try it?
Yeah. Good day, mate.
Okay.
Let's try
Okay, great.
it.
Do you need a knife?
Kangaroo on the barbie.
Let's see. I don't know how tender a kangaroo is, but it seems pretty.
It seems like you do need a knife.
Okay.
All right,
Here we go.
you gotta try it at the same time, yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Wow, it's dark.
Super dark.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, maybe I should let you
Is
take
it-
your own.
Aussie kangaroo, naturally wood smoked and marinated to create Australia's finest kangaroo jerky.
All right.
Let's try it.
Oh, it doesn't smell great.
Oh.
It does not smell
All right.
great.
Whoa! Oh no! Oh no!
All
Okay.
right, ready? And go.
I haven't
That's not bad.
It tastes like jerky.
Yeah. It's a little tougher. I don't think they put a lot of like preservatives in it like they do with some of the jerky that we have here.
I don't think I like it.
No,
Yeah, no,
it's a no for me.
I don't think I like
Really?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hand it over. I'll finish it.
Yeah, it's a pass for me.
Oh man, Rebecca's got to leave the room.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting. It has like, I don't know.
it's got like an irony taste, doesn't it?
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? Liver.
Yeah, like a little bit.
It gives
The
me
That's
smell.
what it is. It's like a
The
little
smell.
bit too livery,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm, no.
Wow.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for sharing that experience.
I can say now I tasted.
So, all right,
kangaroo
scale
jerky.
of 1 to 10. 1 is absolutely terrible. 10 is the best thing ever. Where would you rank the kangaroo jerky, Katie?
3.5.
Wendy?
2.
Rebecca?
I mean, if I were stranded in the outback.
No,
all I have.
that's not the question.
Well, so it's
Just answer it
like-
honestly.
So it's a 1. I mean,
Okay.
I did not actually swallow the jerky. I spit
You
it
got
out.
up and spit it out. You were like gag
shoot.
reflexing over there.
Yeah,
man.
it's giving me like a liver type. Yeah,
I
it's
can't eat liver.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Want
don't
some water?
love
got some.
tasting
Oh,
meat.
I'm giving it a
Flavor.
6.
Wow, 6.
I like
Okay.
it.
It's because
All
you
right.
like liver.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so
I just have an appetite for things
Oh.
that hop around.
I had some stuff in my teeth.
what we do want to talk about today, yeah, I've been getting a lot of people asking me questions about nutrition lately because I was looking at the scan. So August of 2022, so 1st of August, between that date and today, I have lost 30 pounds. So 30 pounds since August of 2022, and you know, people have been asking like what kind of things are you doing and that kind of thing. And my kind of standard answer is like, you don't really want to know because, you know, it's pretty like there's nothing mysterious about it. But actually, as I thought through it and we talked about a couple of the clients that we've had that have really been consistent, but haven't been seeing progress. The story is actually a little more interesting because it's not like, oh, I just flipped a switch one day and then all this stuff happened and then it just happened overnight. It was actually kind of a long journey that I didn't really have like super high expectations for. So I thought we'd talk through that a little bit today and talk about like how long does it actually take to see progress when you're losing weight? or losing fat or whatever it is. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Great.
That's good.
Yeah? Okay. So I'll start by kind of talking through kind of what I did at the beginning, and then, we'll talk about kind of how it applies to clients. So
Yeah.
I weighed myself. I was like 250 pounds almost, which, is still way down from the 315 pounds that I was back in the day, but it's very uncomfortable for me. And this is the thing, like, this is an ongoing sort of journey. So for me, like, had 2 full-time jobs and a lot of stress, kind of put a lot of things off. And when I weighed myself, I was like, I probably need to do something about this. And so the first thing that I started doing was I kind of decided I'm going to start taking steps to actually lose weight, because at that point I was just working out and wasn't really thinking about it. And so I started by tracking, which is the thing that you always recommend to do. I started just by tracking how much food I was eating. And I only did that for about a week or 2 just to see where I was at. But even that started to make a little bit of a difference. And then looking back on all of my logs over the years, one thing that's always worked for me is like cutting carbs. So I cut carbs. So speaking of liver, I was eating liver and like just meat for a while. But so I did that for maybe 6 weeks or so, and I didn't actually hold myself to any like macros or anything like that. I just cut some things out, and I only ate basically like meat and vegetables. I wasn't even perfect on that though. I was only doing that like 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And that was like the first 2 or 3 months, and I maybe lost like 10 or 15 pounds. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about that sort of starting point, because it wasn't super disciplined or like I wasn't going all in. And that's kind of what you all recommend for people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that like a deliberate decision of yours, or
What?
was it just kind of what happened
To
to like start dipping a toe?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've done the like 6-week challenges before,
Right.
and it's just like it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
And like I knew that going in. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna do something that will get me going, but I know it's not gonna be forever, and I'm not gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So you got whatever you wanted to get from that then in that
Yeah.
case, right?
Yeah,
So,
I lost like 5 or 10 pounds of water
Yeah.
weight, and I was feeling better. And then that like helped kind of motivate me to like take another step.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it started first with awareness. And, whenever, it's the same thing, whenever you ask anybody about their diet, they're like, oh, I eat pretty well.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a few people will be like, oh, I eat like garbage, but
Sure.
most people think they eat pretty well.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I eat pretty well. And yeah, that's true most of the time, like 4 or 5 days a week. But it doesn't take that many weekends off for you to like actually on average be eating a lot more than you burn.
Were you weighing, scanning too as well, or just logging?
So the first scan was the 1st of August, and then I started weighing myself on a daily basis.
So every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like first was just awareness.
Yeah.
Track food, weigh myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Okay.
thing you said that didn't work.
That's so interesting. I mean, I didn't actually know all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember, around that same time, I had a similar reaction to an
Oh
in-body.
yeah. I
where
remember that one.
I had to have a session with Wendy.
Oh yeah.
I had to get
yeah.
talked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what I have found about myself is when I stop tracking, I start to eat something here, eat something there. It's like I generally know what I'm eating, so I'm probably within it. And then you get to a point where you're always kind of giving yourself I'm probably in it.
Yeah.
And whenever I start tracking again, within weeks, I'll be back at a weight that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like that exact same time.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Heart, hands across the
That's right. That's right. Here we go. Great minds think alike. But, here's the thing, though. Like, I've been coaching people for 15 years. And this is, like, when I sat down to figure out what I wanted to do, this is the exact process that I followed. Yes, I could have just, like, cut everything out until I got to the weight and I would have
Right.
gotten there faster.
You've done that before though too.
Done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't, I knew based on the rest of my life that I was not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Like I've done the thing where you like
Yeah.
you know, just eliminate everything, and you're just like so miserable for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and like, you know, and I did, you know, cut down carbs, but I also never measured, like I never limited myself. I was eating a ton of calories.
Yeah.
I was eating a ton of like electrolytes and all this stuff that you eat. And then on the weekends, sometimes I would just eat whatever I wanted. And it was just like the practice and then
Yeah.
the awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, and that was what, for 2 months, 3 months?
Something like that,
Something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like you were also starting from a place where you'd done this before, and for you, like, the level of effort to do what you were doing was what, maybe like a 7 out of 10?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that. And what's interesting is like, this is where I've found working with clients is that like 7 out of 10 effort is like a good place to shoot for that first like few weeks to kind of just get a feel for what's going to work and what's not.
Yeah.
But that looks different for everybody based on what they've been doing,
Yeah.
right? So for some people, 7 out of 10 is just like getting in 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Forget about even what they are. Just like sticking to some kind of structure around their eating routine, like
Yeah.
building an eating routine, right? And it's interesting because like some people will see progress doing that and some people won't.
Yeah.
But it's like that same level of effort is like,
So, you know, actually, I answered that question yes, a 7. It was actually more like a 4 or 5.
yeah.
That's why I cut out carbs. It was like, I don't want to think about this. Let me just only eat these foods. And that was, for me, that was how to start. Like, I didn't even do food prep. I was barbecuing like every other day.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like, great, I can
August.
have steak.
Yeah.
You know,
similar.
like, yeah, so it was just barbecuing every other day. I mean, the weather wasn't as bad as it is right now. And yeah, that's what I did.
Barbecuing young kangaroos.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Jay's like, yes.
This is like reminding me of like when I only
you're like,
ate
I
meat. It's
need
like more
more
meat. I mean, seriously, like the liver, the
Yeah,
raw
yeah.
liver, it was easy to eat. You just like rip it up and eat it, right?
Yeah, easy.
It actually tasted pretty good. Look, if you only eat meat, then it is a
I
variety.
have my grandma used to like force us to eat liver when I was growing up. I'm traumatized. Like yeah, no, it brings me bad memories.
I was
Yeah.
a vegetarian for a really long time. And yeah. And I still just don't like the taste of meat. I don't like it when something's meat forward.
Meat.
Yeah.
So kind of
Anyway.
Never heard of that in my head until now. Wow.
I was gonna share a story about my
Let's hear it. Let's hear
Yeah.
the story.
feels inappropriate after what you just said, but anyways, I'm gonna share it anyway. So, okay, so speaking of being vegetarian, so we just came back from San Diego. My wife drove the kids down, and on the way on Highway 5, there's a slaughterhouse, right? And pass by it, you can smell it, you see all the cows, and my wife says to the kids, like, "Hey, that's where like cows turn into our hamburgers." And like,
Oh no.
and so, like, Tiger babbled. Evie was super quiet, and like 2 hours later, she just burst into tears.
Oh.
And it was like, what's the problem? And Tina picked up on it. She's like, it was because of the cow thing, right? And she's like, yeah. She hasn't eaten meat since then. It was like a week, like almost a week ago now. And she will only order vegetarian stuff.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And it's like, it's funny. Like, I'm not a vegetarian,
Yeah.
but I'm super proud of her.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she saw something, she felt a certain
Yeah.
way, she made
Yeah.
a decision. She's not making anyone do it.
Yeah.
She's just like,
Yeah.
oh, what a,
She's
what
she
a
decided
mature
to do that for
thing
That's
do.
great.
herself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm
Wow.
sure it's not going to be a forever thing, but it's like she made a decision about something that
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
likes. So, anyways, that just reminded me of that. All right. So, anyways, as I was saying, I was only eating meat and raw liver, and I did that for a while. And so the reason I went to that, I don't recommend that for people. The reason I went to that is because I've done it in the past, and it's worked for like my energy, and also I lose a little water weight, so I start to feel better, et cetera, et cetera. So I did that, and I kind of was off and on with that until like Thanksgiving. So that's like August, September, October, right? So 3 months. And looking at the scan here, I think I lost like I don't know, 12 pounds, 13 pounds, something like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely like bloated at the time when I started.
Because of the liver?
No, I
We
wasn't.
started first in August.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, I was a bloated 250.
Oh, I see.
Right.
I see.
So then I was kind of rolling around 235, 233, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is I wasn't perfect. I wasn't trying to be perfect. I wasn't really measuring calories. I was just tracking the stuff and like paying attention to what I ate. And I decided after here's the thing about low carb. If you do low carb, if you're ever considering low carb, it sucks in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. There are some really good things, and there are some really good things that it does for your energy, like your adrenaline is a little bit higher, but you're dehydrated quite a bit more. Your sleep is impacted. Your performance is definitely impacted.
Yeah.
Although you can lift more, which is interesting.
For you.
Well, maybe that's just
Yeah.
how I'm built. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it like the dehydration and
I mean,
like
there's like interesting science behind that we could get into, but maybe another time. Yeah, no, we've talked about carb stuff before.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason when women do no carb, it's a little bit different.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of impacts
Wait,
your hormones.
aren't women just small men?
Wow. only Wendy.
See podcast. Facts for that.
But yeah, so like I actually don't recommend like super low carb. I mean, you might do a little bit like, 1 or 2 days or a week or something,
Yeah.
but like it's not a great like long-term thing. But it did have a good impact on my energy, and it also kind of got me into like some good habits. So, when we're talking to our clients, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of approach this with them. But, for me, the goal was about 80% compliance at that point. Like 100% tracking, 80% compliance, like we talked about a few episodes ago, right? And like, if I would have gone 100% compliance, I wouldn't have quit, but I wouldn't have like been happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what you recommend to people, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like, it's always, especially at the start, it's kind of a, you're working together as a team to figure out what makes sense as the first place to kind of target. And that has everything to do with what their goal and their timeline is, and also what they feel like they're capable of doing. And so for some people, it might be 3 meals a day. For some people, it might be protein at breakfast.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's definitely not trying to switch everything at once. Yeah. Usually that doesn't work out.
So at that point, I hired a coach, which is what I recommend anyone does for a goal that they have. And, this coach basically put me on just a regular macros that, you might recommend to your clients here. And it was helpful to have somebody outside. I would not hire either of you. Not because you're not great, but it just doesn't work. The dynamic doesn't work. Yeah. We've tried this before, I believe. Yeah. It doesn't work too well. Well, ask you advice, that's great. But like having you, like I'm eating around you every day.
Yeah.
So having you, say, oh, is that X amount of calories or whatever?
That was actually when I started here. Like when I started here, you must have just started that. Because remember when I started here, I was like, oh, this guy only eats meat.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a lot of questions about
Well,
that.
I had a lot of questions about that.
Yeah. So I hired a coach. They just put me on a regular sort of balanced diet, and I was following it about 5 days a week, 5 or 6 days a week. And that was around Thanksgiving. And for the next like 4 months, basically nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was like, and I won't say nothing, like a little bit of stuff happened, but like my
Yeah.
weight stayed exactly the same. And I was following 5, 6 days a week. And I was checking in every week, putting all my stuff in every week. And I remember one week I was like, dude, man, I'm kind of putting in like work here.
Yeah.
I'm doing like most of the stuff you're telling me to do, and it's not going anywhere. And he's like, I mean, you're doing great. I mean, you could be a little more consistent.
Yeah.
And that was, January or something.
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I mean, I could just do this every day, and maybe that would make a difference.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about like August all the way to like the end of January. So
Totally.
that's 5 months.
Yeah.
Right? That's 5 months
Yeah.
before I thought, let me just do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And that's like, I don't think a lot of people quite get that.
Right.
And it's not like I planned it that way, but it's that,
That's
like,
where
I
it
was
kinda
just
went.
kind of trusting my gut. Like, this is
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
I need to, we had several trips to the Hotsy Totsy during that time. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
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 You know?
Yeah.
Right. We had all our parties and we
Right.
had karaoke. I was like, I'm doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so 5 months of not like being
Seeing
100%.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not really seeing, like I lost that initial like 12, 13 pounds. And then I was like
Stuck there.
still rolling about 15, 20 pounds higher than I wanted to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very common. Yeah.
Do you want to quit?
What's that?
Do you want to quit at some point?
No,
No.
not really.
So you
I
weren't.
there were weeks where I was like, I should have done 6 days that week.
But did you stop like tracking macros
No.
at any point? Like this
No.
whole entire time, the 5 months,
tracked-
you were still tracking, even though you had a terrible weigh-in or just things were not.
I would, there'd be days I'd be eating 6,000 calories, and like, yeah, it's like,
So you didn't question the process. You started, it's introspection. You were like, I have not been doing
yeah,
the thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't, the plan that I have must be off.
No.
Or
No, never
this
question the
process
plan.
does not work for me. So,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, even throughout the whole thing, he's only changed my macros like once.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I was having a hard time getting the protein, and like protein was a little bit high. And he was like, yeah, we'll just make it a little easier, give you a little extra carbs and a little less protein. But that, I mean, even that was like kind of not necessary.
Yeah.
It was more just like, I mean, every week I'd have to check in, and I would have to like, okay, I would look back, like, oh man, I really screwed up on Friday, Saturday. And I didn't feel bad about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, looking at week after week, every Friday and Saturday, I'm going way off plan.
Yeah.
Like, is it reasonable for me to expect that
Right.
I'm going to lose an
Correct.
additional, like at a certain point, I mean, you only have 15, 20 pounds to lose. That's not much.
Yeah.
Right. For
Yeah.
me,
Right.
I was 100 pounds overweight at some point.
Yeah.
Those last 15, 20 is not easy.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking 2 days off a week, I can't really expect that's
Right.
going to go away.
Right. Right.
And I knew that. And that was one thing that really helped, is knowing that, like, you're only going to get so far by doing this.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think that what's cool about this, and just like zooming out, is that like this is a process that a lot of our clients go through, which is you start to change things and then you figure out where the sticking points are.
Yeah.
And so for you, it was consistency. And for a lot of people, it's consistency. But if you try to like overdo consistency at the start, it's without doing like all of the hard work of figuring out how to prioritize your time and how to prep things and how to get things organized. It's like, it's really hard. It's interesting. I was just meeting with a client earlier today who has achieved, like, over the last couple of weeks, an incredible level of consistency. And they've been with us for 6 months at this point, and it was never that consistent before.
Yeah.
And not that like effort wasn't being made and progress wasn't being made. And it wasn't like suddenly there was something that clicked that was like, now I'm going to be 100% consistent. It was just like little things have added up.
Yeah.
And so now it's like they don't really want to do anything else because they feel good when they eat this way. They have their life kind of now structured around these times. And it just sort of fell into place. But I think what can happen is if you don't recognize that there's going to be this lead up of like learning and troubleshooting and figuring out what level of consistency you need to see progress, then you won't see progress for as much as you think maybe you want, and get discouraged and not kind of like push past that to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that sweet spot might come at 6 months, or it might come at 4 months, or it might come at a year. I feel like for me, it was years of like searching for that sweet spot before I found it. I'm just glad I didn't give up.
Yeah. No, that's really well said. I mean, I've had times where, for example, I've done a CrossFit workout every single day for 6 straight months, like over 180 days. I come in on Sunday and do it, whatever. So like, I know I can do that, and knowing that you can actually makes you respect it.
Yeah.
You're just like, if I go 100%, then other stuff's going to fall by the wayside. I don't know what it is, but something's going to fall because I'm going to have to be here every single day. I'm going to have to do my food prep's got to be dialed. I got to bring, a scale to the restaurant. Like everything's got to be on point. And so I don't pull that lever until I'm like ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think people struggle a little bit like, okay, I'm all in, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know how hard that actually is.
Yeah. And it's like, what was so fascinating is like, the echoes what you were saying when Wendy asked you, like, so how long are you going to do this for? And you're like, all right. It's like you're not even thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm going to do it today, and I'll probably do it tomorrow, and I'll probably do it the next day, right? And it was funny because with this client, it was the same thing. Like, I asked them the same question. It's like, all right, so how far do you want to take this? I'm like, well, I have no reason to change. Like, every day feels great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's like, that is the reason that's a sweet spot is because if you feel like this is something that, like, I'm going to push for another 3 weeks, like, then you're setting yourself up,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what's going to happen after those 3 weeks? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've done the white knuckle thing before, right, Coach? I mean, maybe not with nutrition, but like where, you're just like, I'm going to, what's white knuckle? What's white knuckle?
hold on so tight.
Have you heard that before, Wendy?
No.
Yeah, you know what
that
white
seems like
knuckling
a-
thing
Yeah,
is?
totally.
Yeah. It's like you say, I'm going to run every single day for 100 days.
Oh,
And
like go
I'm
over
just
the top.
doing like you haven't run for 6 months.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it every single day. You're going to run 3 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Have you
Right?
done the white knuckle?
Well, no, it's like a saying.
Oh, okay. I was still very confused. Going,
all in or
what is
something.
I see.
Yeah.
Like a saying.
Like-
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah. Yeah, okay.
What did
Never
you-
heard
what did-
of it.
What did you think the white knuckle was?
I was gonna ask questions right now because I was.
It sounds like a really good cocktail, actually.
The white knuckle or
It's like
something.
the white Russian.
Or like
something we won't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very appropriate for
very
this
meat
podcast.
forward.
Who comes up with these sayings? It's like who comes up with this? Who was the person who thought this was a great idea to say
Someone
this?
who is white.
What about brown knuckles, huh?
But
Don't
it
I
doesn't have to
matter?
do with that. It's like if you
Don't
grip
I
something
matter?
so tight, you lose blood, and it, how I mean? Still brown.
Still brown. Still brown.
Light brown.
Okay.
So going 100%.
Yes.
We were talking about.
So you've done the thing where you've committed to doing something like 100%. Like
Right.
you're gonna
Yeah.
do it every single
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Like what have you think back? When was the last time you did that? What was it?
It was. I think it was with you. Remember, we used to do. You, myself, and Heidi used to do like these crazy challenges, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're gonna do 100 burpees every day for the next 100 days.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've done that before. The hero one. Remember, we will do a hero workout every single day for like 3 weeks. We did that.
Yeah.
I also play around with nutrition too as well, right? So going like full on, consistent with no days off.
Yeah.
And like to that point, I did that once, and to the gram, like I was not 1
Yeah,
gram
yeah.
over, like
Oh, wow.
exactly,
Wow.
like
Wow.
bam, and I got some great results, but it was miserable. I was miserable that day,
Yeah.
and I did it for like 2 months, 2 straight months.
Oh God.
That day, I told myself I'm never going to do this ever again because I missed so many birthday cakes, and I love to go to birthday parties because of the cake.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I passed out on birthday cakes so many times. And I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've done it before.
You passed out on birthday cakes?
One too many.
Well, yeah.
One too many. Wendy's in the cake again.
Especially
yeah,
chocolate
exactly.
cake.
Yeah, those cutting stuff out of your diet.
Yeah,
The
or like
Patron hits you hard.
like every fad diet ever. I don't know. I feel like it's very black and white, all or nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep,
you're
yep.
eating cabbage soup for the next 12 days and nothing else,
It must
Yeah.
have been like super gassy.
It was bad.
Yeah. Wow.
Just a lot of
I
broth.
did the 21-day sugar detox once. Oh, it was so miserable.
Oh, I even went pescatarian once for Lent. I remember.
Oh, that's
I
right.
remember you saying you are so dumb for doing that. Why would you do that? Biggest mistake ever. Like all
Delicious.
No, I did not like it. I needed like meat. I needed meat.
Meat forward.
Yeah. So actually, now that I think about it, I've done a lot of things that are
Yeah.
like, full
Yeah.
on, let's go.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people go.
Yeah.
Right,
They
right.
read a diet book or they see some video and they're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, if you go all in on this, then you'll get this result. And maybe you will.
Yeah.
But like in the bigger picture, like your behavior has to change
Right.
long term for you to be able to like sustain
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I went through this, I was like 5-6 days a week for about 4 or 5 months. And it got to February. And the interesting thing is, I started doing this, I started feeling better, and I started doing the same thing with other parts of my life, other habits. I'd be like, 5-6 days a week, I will, make sure I write in my journal or, play my guitar or whatever other habits that I had. and all of them kind of converged on the same thing. They were just like, I was making a little bit of progress and feeling better about it, but not feeling so pressured that it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so it was like all of these things made me start seeing progress.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where I was like, what if I just did it every day? And I actually sat down and I wrote this out. This was like somewhere in February or whatever, maybe January. And I wrote out like, what would it be like if I did this every day? How long could I go? How long would I want to go? What would I commit to doing every day? And I actually followed the 10-30-100 rule, right? Do you guys remember what that is? No? Okay. So basically, I decided that there were 10 habits that made a difference for me. And they were, it was things like work out every day, get up early, hit my macros, do my morning routine, things like that, right?
Right.
And I said, okay, these are habits that I chose, that I decided were important to me. And I chose all of them based on the goals that I had. And I said, if I do this every single day, then it would be unreasonable to expect that I wouldn't achieve my goals. But I'm not going to commit to doing it every day forever. I'm just going to commit to doing it for the first 10 days. And the idea was I had already developed some habits. Now I committed to doing it perfectly for 10 days.
Yeah.
And so the goal of the first 10 days was to see if this was sustainable in my life. And so hitting your macros every day, there's a lot that goes into that, right? Like you have to prepare your food. You have to make sure you have good sources of protein, all these other things. So I went shopping. I did all the stuff. I mean, I already had been preparing my food, but I dialed in those last little bits.
Yeah.
And so I did that. The workouts were easy because we're already doing those every day. A lot of the other stuff was pretty simple. And I just committed to doing it for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, the only question was not what progress I had seen, but like, is this sustainable? Could I keep doing it? And once I figured out that it was, I committed to doing it for another 30 days, right? Because I wanted to see what kind of progress I could get.
Yeah.
And so for the next 30 days, I just kept doing everything 100%. Now, I don't actually recommend people do this. I think you should do about 90%, but I did it 100% because I've already done the 80-90% thing. So I did it for 30 days. I started to see amazing progress. So I'm hitting my macros every single day for 10 plus 30, so 40 days,
Yeah.
right? And I lost like 12, 15 pounds in 40 days, right? Just by not having that one day off.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then when I got to about day 35 or so, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do 100. Like I want to go for the full 100 days. And I'm not going to be perfect on this stuff forever, but I wanted to see if I could exercise self-discipline with myself about these 100 days, not so that I could achieve the goal, but so that I could do all of these things that I say are important to me for the 100 days.
Yeah.
So I'm on day 50 right now. And I was looking at this. So like I said, I've lost 30 pounds total. But since I decided to do that, I've lost 20 pounds and 9% body fat
Wow.
since like
January or February?
Yeah.
50 days ago.
Yeah.
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 So like just on these
totally.
scans, right?
And like I see this with clients all the time. It's like the tinkering that happens for like 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 months, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you figure out what clicks, and now you're making progress for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The other part is like looking at a number, right? This could be the weight, this could be muscle mass, body fat. And I think what happens is with most people, they tend to get discouraged when they see that number is not changing, right? And it's like, coach, I'm doing all the things you're telling me to do, but I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I have those clients where they are following to the dot, like every single thing I tell them to do. And it's like, I still don't see anything else.
Yeah.
So, and you can tell that, they're crushed, right? It's like, this is supposed to work. Why isn't it working now?
Yeah.
So I can never tell a person a time where it's going to happen.
That's right.
Like over the next 2 days, 0.5 you'll lose, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I can never, because we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that me and you talked about is like, this is actually part of the process, right? This is part of it. This is part of the plan.
Yeah.
Right. We're supposed to stay here for now.
Yeah.
Right. If you're doing all the things, just trust me, we're heading there. But I think that's where people tend to have a really hard time. And I would be myself too as well, right? Like this happens to me all the time when I step on the scale and it's like a number I don't want to see. And it's like, well, I've been consistent. What's happening? Or even in workouts, right? When I'm putting in the work for a certain movement or certain workout and it's like, I still don't hit that specific thing that I was training for.
Yep.
Right? You get discouraged, right? Okay, is there something wrong with me? Do I need to change the plan?
Yeah.
So then that's what we don't want to do, right? And I think it's a natural reaction for humans, right? To get discouraged. But this is why as coaches come in, right? And reassure them that we're heading in the right direction. Just trust me, but don't give up, right?
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. Do not give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So actually, this is a really great point. When I decided to go 100%, it took me 3 weeks. Like in the first 3 weeks, I lost like 2 pounds.
Yeah.
So I was like 85%. I was 1 day off a week for like, or 2 days off sometimes for like months.
Yeah.
And it pretty much stayed the same. And then I was 100% for 3 weeks and I lost like 2 pounds.
Yeah.
I had 20 more pounds to lose, maybe more.
Yeah.
Right. And I only lost 2 pounds.
Yeah.
And then it was like from week 4 to like middle of week 4 to week 6, it was like instant change. It was like I was losing 3 pounds a week for like 3-4 straight weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't have a ton of weight to lose.
Yeah.
But like it was just 3 pounds a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if this is right. Actually, this feels like too much.
Yeah.
And then when I look back, it's like, well, actually, you had a bunch of like, where you were the same.
Yeah.
And then it just like all dropped.
The other thing I tell people, it's like, this is what your body wants to do. Like you can't really force your body to speed it up when maybe that's what it wants, right? You can't force that. You kind of just, you need to respect what your body wants to do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like this is why everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's okay to go that route, but some people don't believe in most of it's because, maybe friends, right? They have friends who they lost like 10 pounds within a week. It's why am I not doing that? And so it's like, well, you're different. You're not your friend.
Well, yeah. Like if you look at my last 8 months, you take a sample, it's like, you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then you take a sample of a
right.
different time. You're like, you lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, but like all the other stuff
Right.
led to that, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that's part of it. My commitment was just to follow through on the 100 days. It wasn't actually to lose X amount of weight like that. It was like the target. It was like the direction. But like, if I never lose another pound, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I don't,
Yeah.
that part doesn't matter as much as
The practice.
can I follow through on what I said I was going to do?
Yeah. The other thing too, I come across, it's when clients and just members in general, they see you do all these things and the workouts and you look great and, all those muscles. And then they ask you like, how long did it take you to get there? And I'm like, about 8 years. They're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
You lost me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I worked my ass off for 8 years. Like, this is the reason why
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were several months where nothing happened.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I have probably had so many, like maybe 7 months, but nothing happened. Like my lifts were trash. Like my workouts felt like just not right.
Yeah.
And it's part of it. It's just part of it, right? But this is the funny thing is like when I tell them the number, like how long it took me, they're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Never
Not
mind.
interested. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that seems like a lot of time that, but it might not take them that long, right? Everyone's different. It might take you maybe 4 years, 3 years, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've hit like a bunch of PRs just in the last like 4 to 6 months, right? Like a ton of them,
And
like
for
more than you had for years.
Oh
right?
yeah, 3 years, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't hit those PRs without the 3 years that go before it. It's not like you weren't doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still coming in and working out, but yeah, like for 3 years, nothing happened. Nothing.
Yeah. So it just comes down to like how consistent you
Right.
are with it. So so to kind of like wrap this up, I mean, for me, I only dialed it up to 100% after like 4 or 5, maybe 6 months. And even that, it was a slow step. Like I'm only going to do this for a little while and then I'll go for a little longer. Okay, now I'm doing it because I want to hit the days, not because I want to hit the number.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like for me, the reason I even hired the coach in the first place is I've been this weight before. I've been lower body fat before. And when I get there, I'm like, yeah, it's time for the cake and all the other shit. And it's like, I mean, what's the point of even doing it?
Yeah.
You know? And so what I was more interested in, because I hired the coach for, I don't know, 6 months or 12 months or something, was what are all the things that happen after you get there? Right? That's what I want to, that's what I want to see.
For the real work also happens too.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what I'm super interested in because I'm seeing all this crazy performance gains and I'm like, wow, what's that going to look like?
Jay's on
Yeah,
a roll
I know.
this week.
It's true.
Yeah. So like,
I owe
that's,
him $100 too.
yeah. Oh yeah. We talked about that on the podcast. Now you owe me $100. I would collect that shit.
Was it more than one movement, right?
No, we had
No, it's
4. Yeah.
4.
Oh, so there's $400 on the table.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was a bet between Wendy, myself, and Chinwuba, David. And we had 4 things we had to hit. One of them was a handstand walk. Yeah, none of us have gotten that. The other one was a strict bar muscle up. We're not there yet.
No.
The other one was 300 clean and jerk for me and David and 200 for you.
Yeah.
And you're real close to that. You got 177, right?
Yeah.
What was it like a month ago?
177?
No, yeah. What was it a month ago? It was,
160.
yeah, 160. So
Yeah.
you're
160
getting
clean and
closer.
jerk. Yeah.
That's yeah, just put on a I'm at 203. I'm just gonna go add 20 pounds right now.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
god.
how it works.
Well, okay. Yes, but Wendy is also a lot stronger than her technique.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
your front squat is what?
215.
Yeah. So and your front squat is
Like around the same.
yeah. Yeah. So she's got some technique work that can get her there, right? Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna hit that 3-year mark soon, and then I'll PR. It's been about 3 years.
Yeah,
It's been close to 3 years since I hit
Yeah.
203.
Yeah.
I think it was
That's
2
right.
years ago. So yeah. There we go.
See?
Yeah.
Don't give up.
I'm gonna hit 250 this time next year.
Okay. Well, you just need some money on it. That's what it is. That would be bad for you, I think. If we put money on it, then you might
gonna
not
go
leave the gym.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
It's gonna go full on
Snatch it every
100%.
day.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
So the last one was snatch, and you had to hit 155, I believe.
155, yeah.
And I had to hit 225,
Yeah.
which I hit 2 hours ago.
You
So
did.
you owe me $100.
I do. That was a really, really good snatch too. I think probably that's best snatch I've ever
Yeah, that
seen
was,
you.
that was a good one. I got good
Yeah.
coaching from
Yeah.
our coach over here.
Okay.
All that mobility work too.
Sometimes I coach. Sometimes I say things.
Yeah. I just had to go and grab her and say, help me with this right now.
I need this moolah.
I need this money.
So
I'm
good.
got to pay rent this month. Yeah. So like, that's the things that I'm seeing is just like a lot of performance improvements, and that's way more interesting. And I'm really curious, like staying consistent for that 100 days. Is it just like another 50 days of PRs?
Yeah.
And like, how far can it actually go? The question is, what is your potential?
Yeah.
And that's actually more interesting.
Yeah.
And so, and I think nutrition clients, once they start to look at it like that,
Yeah.
then it's way more interesting. They're more likely to stick with it.
Yeah.
Rather than I got to lose 25 pounds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, once you can create distance from the actual act and it becomes almost data. Like I actually took you back in August, you told me you should just weigh yourself every day just to take out the emotion behind it. And I'm like, you know what? All right, I'm going to do it. So I got a scale. I haven't done an in body, but I got a scale and I've been weighing myself every day. And for a while, you know, if I had a bad reading, I would go back in bed and just kind of lay there for a few minutes and talk myself out of it. And now it's been, I mean, since August, maybe September. And my coach recently told me, she's like, you know, don't weigh yourself since I've been sick and traveling, you know, get back into the swing of things. And I weighed myself anyway because I'm like, I'm so used to it. And at this point, I'm like, I'm going into my luteal phase. I wonder if this weight gain is because of that. I'm hitting this. And so now it's more data for me.
You don't feel emotional about it.
No, because I know that tomorrow I might be 2 pounds less.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, today I guess I'm this weight.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow I'll be that way. And I am
Yeah.
but if you just, you know, weigh yourself periodically and you are one of those people who get really caught up in numbers, if I weigh myself, you know, once a month on that, you know, heavy day that I have once a month, I'm gonna be like, oh man, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But it is up and down. And so creating space with the nutrition and sometimes just treating it like an experiment, it kind of makes it fun. Like what will impact me?
Yeah. Just like you do with your lifts, right? It's like, you know, you're kind of just tracking the data.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you'll hit a PR, sometimes you won't hit a PR, you know, but it's like, if you're moving in the right direction, then you know, like, okay, this is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's the work, is taking the emotion out of it, finding a way to take the emotion out of it. Because I can't say that like, oh yeah, listeners, just stop caring. Like it's, you know, you're going to care.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been doing this long enough to know that we can get to this weight. Like I've been this weight before. I've lost the weight before. I know that if I stop tracking for more than a month, I'm probably going to gain a couple pounds because I'll just start adding a few things. Yeah. And so I can create that distance and know, okay, once I get over it, like, oh, big, blah, 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 just go back to what you did.
Yeah.
And you'll get there.
Yeah.
Just give it a month.
Yeah.
And not everybody has experienced that month of getting back into it, the hard work, and then things will work itself out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when you got to trust your coach.
I've taken a totally opposite approach.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I just threw my scale off a bridge and then got rid of all the mirrors in my place.
I mean, what works for one won't work
go.
for everybody. Because, I love math. So I'm actually at some point going to start graphing things and creating. No, and I mean, I mentioned before this how, you know, I stopped, or I still have my Whoop, but I'm now I'm writing data for how I feel, and I'm writing my weight down based on how I feel when I wake up. And I'm starting to think when I wake up, I bet I weigh this much based on how I feel. And after I get enough data points, I'm totally going to graph it. I'm totally going to because I want to know. I want to know, like, how do I feel versus what my Whoop tells me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, are they the same? What impacts my performance? Is it my mood? Is it my recovery? Does that have influence on it?
And then it becomes more like, how do I feel? Without, like, eventually it's like, how do I feel? And the data doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I feel this way and I do these activities, they make me feel this way. And it's, the data's interesting, but it's also like, once you get to wherever you want to go to, you're there for long enough. It's like, do I need to track this?
Yeah.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
I mean, I love data. I love it.
I'm going to run to set up for a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, I think that's all we have anyway.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is this useful?
Yes.
Yeah? Scale of 1 to 10, how do we do today?
We white knuckled it.
Yeah, better than the kangaroo jerky?
Better than the kangaroo.
Man, that was
Yeah.
gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not like
All right. Well, that is all we have for you today. I am Coach Jay with Coach Rebecca, Wendy, and Katie. We will see you all next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, we've got plenty of others. Go check out this one over here.